Hollywood has always told us a story about race, but it's not the Bible's story. From superheroes to prophets to kings like David, American media keeps recycling the same image, whiteness as the default, and everyone else as an afterthought. The problem isn't just the casing. The problem is ethnic illiteracy. Modern America doesn't understand biblical ethnicities because it doesn't actually read the Bible. It understands Hollywood. And when Hollywood replaces scripture, history becomes mythology, and mythology becomes propaganda. Let's be clear. This isn't opinion. This is reference material. The Compact Bible Dictionary explicitly states that the Hamites are the progenitors of the dark races, particularly those associated with Egypt, Cush, and Put. Egypt is Mizraim, and that is not European. Cush is not Caucasian. These are African peoples that are described consistently in scripture and ancient geography. So when Americans imagine Egyptians as pale Mediterranean figures, that's not the Bible. That's called bias. Now, here's where the conversation gets uncomfortable for many people today. Negroes do not come from Ham. We come from Shem. The biblical lineage of Israel runs through Shem, and Shem's descendants populated North Africa, the Levant, and parts of Arabia. Scripture never defines Shem as white. That category didn't even exist. The Bible uses things like geology or genealogy, land, and covenant, not modern racial science. Which brings me to the new production, House of David. Once again, we see the same pattern, Near Eastern Israelites portrayed through a European lens. Ancient Semitic people filtered through Western racial assumptions. This isn't accidental either. It's the continuation of a long tradition where biblical heroes and superheroes are visually detached from their actual ethnic context. In other words, David becomes relatable only after he is being reimagined through their lens. Again, let's be honest. When you look at superheroes, you look at gods, you look at saviors. Hollywood consistently teaches that power looks white, authority looks white, and even salvation looks white. That narrative didn't come from scripture. It came from empire, a white empire. So what happens when you read scripture and you actually study? The Bible does something radical. It restores dignity to the nations that God placed in the earth, the Hamites, the Shemites, and even the Japhites. So when you actually read the text, racial hierarchies collapse and biblical history becomes coherent again. Hollywood distorts this, but scripture can clarify your misunderstanding. And that's exactly why this conversation makes people uncomfortable. Hope you're having a great day. Shalom.